foundation. I'm actually in my brother's room, my mom's house. So he has like some jerseys on the wall, and I'm like, I don't do sports. Like, what is sports? But it just makes you look very mask for mask, which I'm living for.
Sports.
Yeah. My name is Marshall Vielle. I'm a two-spirit drag queen artist, as well as an actor, director, sometime writer, podcaster whenever I get the chance, and just all around fat femme queer savage artist.
All around amazing human being who I adore. So getting the supplies for this, I was excited and terrified. What am I gonna do today? What are you teaching me?
Well, what kind of supplies did I ask you to pick out?
We have some disappearing purple glue, and then some finishing powder, concealer, and foundation. Oh, and a comb.
So those are all the tools that you're going to need to help us block out our brows. As I said, I am a two-spirit drag queen, and I feel like one of the biggest like foundational steps in doing the whole drag makeup is gluing down the brows, because that just allows you to create an entirely new canvas. So I thought I would share the little trait with you. It's like the one thing that like involves drag that I thought like I could do this in 30 minutes, because when I do this, I take my time, because if I don't do this step right, everything else is not great.
How did you learn this?
Like online and stuff, yeah. And then like through like in like talks with like other queens and kings and stuff. And a lot of folks will like use like a Prozade, or they'll use like a latex or stuff like that. But I feel like a glue just works just as fine. I do sweat like a lot when I'm doing shows and stuff, and so I find that does the job to glue down the brows. And you can buy it anywhere and find it anywhere. And I have like, I want to say like 13 or 14 of these sticks just lying around my house, just because at any moment's notice I could need one. So
like, and it's like how you just have all the things. Like I have so many like prop knives, because you never know when you might need one.
Totally. The first step, we like said that we like wanted like a clean face. So I went in and I cleaned my face, and then I just put a little bit of moisturizer on, except I didn't put any on like on the brows here, just so that like there's no excess stuff like that. Yeah, so just you can dust it off. I have some wipes here as well. You can just like.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take this and then just like slightly just put them off. But otherwise it should work either way. You want those to dry. So like one like nice little like tip is just like lick your glue stick. It is non-toxic, just to help get some moisture in there. So just like that. That's
it tastes good. It tastes like elementary school.
Yeah. And so what you're gonna do is you're going to start at the bottom and then just like glue it upwards.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then once you have like a good amount of glue, do that. You can then go against the grain, going inwards towards your nose.
And do you do purple because then you can see what you're doing? Like you can see your work?
Yes.
It's the cutest I've ever looked in my life.
You're gonna only get cuter. All it is now is just like putting as much glue as you can into your brow. Oh wait, not into your eyeballs. Don't get it into your eyeballs. And then once you feel like you have a sufficient amount of glue, you can then start to just go them in the direction of upwards, just like we started.
Okay. So what's your favorite part of getting into drag?
Being finished. I would say, I think it's the lips for me. The lips are like one of those things that I always do last, just because like it's a nice little like thing of like, okay, I know that when I'm done the lips, I've done everything, and that I just look and feel really, really great. So, and I love being able to create like a really like natural ombre lip. So what I will usually do is I'll like take like a dark color and then put it like on the bottom and on the top, and to help just like outline the lips. And then I'll go in with like a dark like brown or like a nice like deep like indigo color, and then I'll finish it off with like a pink or like a red in the middle, and then just sort of like blend them all together to help like create this like dark to light look. And I think that's my favorite part, because it's what I find the most amazing thing about doing drag makeup is being able to just like resculpt your face. And I feel like with the lips, being able to like resculpt them into this nice like ombre, like pushed up plump lip, it's really nice. Yeah. And then while that's drying, we're going to take our comb, and we're going to just comb upwards nice and firmly. Up and out, as I say, up and out.
Up and out, up and out. Perfect. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so my German roots are loving this right now.
Yeah, the goal here is to just get them nice and flat as you can get them.
I look so surprised!
Now, one of the things that I didn't mention, I think, in the supply list is like perhaps having some like wipes on hand, but I think your towel should work just fine. So what we're gonna do is, once we kind of like lay everything down, we're gonna want to go in with just a little bit of moisture around the edges, just to kind of like take off some of the excess.
I have eyebrows like my grandpa right now.
Like, I find that like in the process of like trying to like comb them up, you also manage to comb up a lot of the excess glue, which helps us when we're kind of trying to wipe away the excess.
I've noticed that some people will like shave some of their eyebrows off. Is that to like speed up the process, or?
Yeah, so like it depends on like how often you do drag, obviously, but like a lot of the times queens will only do like the outer half of the brow, and they'll leave the inner part to like use that to like start the new eyebrow and stuff. So like it depends really on where you want the placement of the brows to be. There's some queens and kings who just don't even have eyebrows. They just, go full, blank canvas.
Yeah.
So that they can just like shave them off and then like be able to skip the step, because, as I said, it is for me the most critical step, because it really is the base of the entire look. And if you kind of mess up on this step, it kind of leads down, it's like a domino effect. If your brows are a bit crunchy, the foundation and stuff like that won't lay down as nicely.
Yeah.
But also, if like, an oatmeal brow is your thing, then like, more power to you. Just like throw some glitter on it and, walk out your door. That's also an option,
Yeah, glitter fixes everything.
I find that this is like one of the most like traditional ways of applying makeup and stuff, but I feel like with like the evolution of drag, there's been sort of idea that it doesn't matter even like what the makeup looks like. I mean, because we all have our own special style of doing our makeup and stuff, but I just like it because it helps me to really just have a nice like clean canvas so that I can apply everything else.
And it makes like the top, like it just like tightens everything up here too.
Exactly. So you want to make sure it's really dry. So what I usually do is I just like go in with my my blow dryer here and just kind of like make sure it's dry, because if it is a bit tacky or still wet, it won't. That means that like a lot of the glue that's like on the inner part of the eye, like closer to the skin, just like hasn't dried, which then when you're applying the powders and stuff, it'll only really set the top layer of the glue, and you want to make sure that like it's nice glue, like all the layers of glue are dry.
Cool.
Okay. And you can just like, judge it based on how it feels. But if you think it's pretty dry, you can go in with your loose setting powder. This this powder, you just want to make sure you put it nice and firm.
Okay, cool. Here, I'll use this. Whoop. Has like drag makeup affected how you do like stage makeup and stuff?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's really funny because I always like in like stage makeup and stuff, they usually say to like paint for the back row, but I find that whenever I do drag, I started to like paint for the box office. So like it just like it's extra extreme. Even when I was doing Carol, I was doing the apothecary, and then even for the apothecary, I was wearing like loads of makeup and stuff. But that was because like I thought like, okay, so like this man like runs an apothecary, which means he needs to like his skin has to look like nice and flat and no like age spots and stuff, because he needed to just be perfect, because like how could he like sell his like apothecary stuff if he himself looked like a troll. So that was my like biggest thing there, like using makeup to further tell the story.
Oh, that's so cool, because I think that's often something, at least for me, that like makeup is always kind of like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Of like, oh well, we'll just slap it on and then go sweat it off. So I think
yeah, no, like doing drag and stuff, it's really gave me I think an appreciation for allowing the makeup in any role to help push that narrative forward.
Also, Marsha was great in that show.
Yeah, and then once like you like have like the powder on, just like admire yourself for a few minutes, and then away.
When did you start drag?
When did I start drag? I started drag in February of 2016. I think there was a lot of, I think, not guilt, but like just like a fear of like doing drag, because I felt like this idea of drag was like it was like akin to like cross-dressing for me growing up and stuff, and there was so much like, I think like not shame, but just like the word that I'm trying to think of, it was very like a taboo, I think, in like where I lived and stuff, and so I just sort of like backed away from it and stuff. But then once I sort of like started to really like recognize that drag was like a really cool artistic way for me to express what it means for me to be two-spirit and stuff, that was when I sort of like like had the courage to like take the plunge and dive right into it. And then so when I started, I was told to do a song. They were like, here, like we'll give you like 5 minutes to do one song. I ended up doing 3, and I think it was like 10 minutes, just because I was like, this is my moment. I'm reclaiming my time, and you're not going to stop me. So I did like 3 songs, and it was great. It was received really, really well by the drag community in Lethbridge, which is where I started. And they like invited me to their Diva Cabaret, which was I think like 2 months after that. And then since then it's just been like rolling, with shows and stuff. And then and then that whole thing sort of like culminated into me like doing my own like solo drag show, which is where the Two-Spirit lives. I did that because I wanted to like curate a drag show for myself, and then what it like transformed into was like a memoir, which was just really interesting. I think like when I was choosing the songs and stuff, I didn't necessarily understand the connection to my own story, but then once I sort of like started to like really think hard about it, I was like, wow, there's a reason why I chose these specific songs to be in this show, because they they mean so much to me, and here's why. And that's what the entire show was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Of course. And now we can go ahead and just dust off the powder.
So much inhaling of.
And the really fun part about this is you get to do it 2 more times.
What?
So typically, what I would do is I would do at least 2 layers of glue, just because like when I'm on stage, I need the glue to like stick, otherwise I'm gonna sweat it all off, and by the time I'm done my first number and stuff, and it won't look cute. So we're gonna go ahead and we can speed this one up a little bit, but we're just gonna redo all of those steps again, serving Bert and Ernie realness.
Oh, it goes on way better the second time.
Oh yeah, totally. And just making sure it's still nice and flat.
And do you go down still? Like with the second
No.
round?
All up. That's like a really back to your question earlier about like why we use the one that does change colors, because it does when it dries, you can tell that it's dry by whether or not you can see like a dark violet color.
Oh, that's so smart. Men, drag queens and drag kings must use so much of this.
Yeah. Well, like, and I find that I don't even use the whole thing, because like I find that like it dries out before even getting to the bottom, and like if I do use like a dry bottle of it, you can tell, because then it doesn't go on as easy and stuff. So what I do is like I'll get like halfway through a bottle, and I'll just have to toss it out, or use it for arts and crafts and stuff. But like for the brows, I usually like to have like really nice, like just like sealed bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we powder once again.
Powder, powder, powder. What's your favorite powder to use?
I like to use the Ben Nye powder in the white like translucent color. It's like $20 at Don's hobby shop here in the city, and I've had mine since I think like June, and it's only like half gone. So
oh, that's good.
it goes a long way. I was using a luxury item, the Laura Mercier one, for a long time, but it's like $50 for like a small little tub, and it just, I find that like Ben Nye, because it is specifically for like theater makeup and stuff, a little does go a long way, and I feel like it works just as well, if not better.
Yeah.
Watch out for that clown line.
This stuff is so this like is like very light.
Yeah.
So it's just like it just like goes in the air, and then you're like, oh.
Yeah, there are times when like I'm doing a full face, and then I'll like look down, and this entire area here will just be all white, full of just like fallout powder.
It's like, hello, I don't have dandruff, I promise. And if I do, it's fine, but...
And so we can just dust away the excess of the powder. And then here's where you can use your moist towelette, or your makeup wipe, or your towel with water on, anything moist. You're just going to go in and around and get off the excess glue parts. And my thing is usually like really like short but like hard swipes.
Because if you like, glue probably isn't like the easiest thing to like paint on, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of your favorite places to perform, where is your favorite place to perform drag at? Do you like bigger venues, smaller venues?
I really enjoy like venues that aren't clubs. Yeah, I find like having venues that are that allow for folks to, I think, experience drag in really unconventional ways, like at a pub, or like at like a banquet hall or something like that. Like, because like I feel like, one, I have a lot of space, but like I feel like there's it just feels nice to be doing like drag for, I think, an audience who may or may not be experiencing drag for the first time.
And do you go like really close to the brow? Like, do you want to get right to the edge of it, or just kind of like general vicinity?
As close to the brow as you can get without like stripping the glue off, of course.
Okay. Better brows.
Yeah, what's been really nice about doing drag shows online throughout quarantine and stuff is like you just do 1 or 2 layers and you're good, because you can hide any chunks online, whereas like in the club there's no way you're gonna hide your oatmeal brows.
Said this yet, but what's your drag name?
Yes, so my drag character is actually Mavis Von Treese. I like to think of her as, you know, Southern Alberta's premier two-spirit, prairie matriarch, granny chic supermodel of the world. Of course, these are all proclaimed titles.
Well, I mean, everyone can check you out and then can agree with you.
So once you sort of feel like you've cleared off enough of the excess, you can go in with your concealer. You can really use any concealer that you want. I typically will use like a Mayron paint stick to do the brows and stuff. But that's like if I'm doing like an actual show, but we're just gonna go in with this like concealer stick that I have from Fenty Beauty, and we're just gonna paint over the where the brows are. Yeah. And feel free to just apply a very generous amount of concealer.
Bye, brows. Bye, buds. Oh, this is so funny. You don't realize how much of like a brow expression person you are until you take it away.
Yes. And then once you feel like you've covered all of them, I just go in there with like a sponge and just like help to.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. Again, cutest I have ever looked on the internet.
So this is kind of, you know, something like that.
They look so cool.
It's like I look like I have no brows. I look sickly or glamorous. It was actually like very early on. I think it was like maybe March 20th. When I told this in Keats, I was like, I just want to like shave off my brows just to like see, like, you know, like I'm not going anywhere for the next, like, you know, 3-4 months. Might as well. And they were like, yeah, like if any time, like if you wanted to do it, now is the time.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I was too scared.
Yeah, it's like maybe now's the time that I like dye my hair purple. Who knows?
Well, I think it like that's why it's so cool that you're even doing this whole like new skills thing, because you have the time to learn skills. Why not, right?
Might as well. I mean, and I think that it goes like, I don't know for me if it's the same for you, but I feel like it like productivity comes in waves.
Yeah.
Where
totally.
It's like, oh yeah, I can totally do this, and then you hit a week and you're like, I miss people and my friends.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh cool. I'll just binge a new show.
Yeah, so now that you have the concealer on there, what I would do now is I would apply like a foundation to the entire face just to help blend everything all together. And then you would start, you know, doing your contour, your eye look, all that stuff. But yeah, what I would do is I would like do like a foundation all over, set it, and then brush everything off, and then start the makeup. So we can add some foundation to the mix. We are just, you know, doing our due diligence.
And do you find you have to use like a different foundation than like an everyday foundation for being on stage and like all that, or do you just use your regular?
So typically if I'm doing drag and stuff, I'll use, again, the Mayron paint stick, because it is like a cream based, and like it is thicker, which helps. When I first started doing drag, what was I using? I was using a Revlon cream makeup thing, and it worked just as fine. And then actually, I think in like the summer of 2018, I stopped being able to find it.
Oh.
So I had to like, you know, use the more makeup, the stage makeup brand. So Revlon, if you're watching this, bring back your cream, you know, foundation thing. I remember being really young. I want to say like maybe 6 or 7, but like I had like just like begged my mom. I was like, Mom, like I want like a mascara, I want a lipstick, I want a blush. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll see what I can do. She came back with like the 5-pack of like lip smackers that like came in like Coke Zero or whatever, like the flavored lip balms.
Delicious.
And that is why I have trusty shoes today. So that's your brow look, or shall I say no brow look?
Wow. And like for me, like you can still kind of see it underneath. Would I just like have to do like more like a thicker concealer kind of thing?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
And then you can also do, so what I usually do too is I'll put like an orange like in the beard area just to help like get rid of the shadow from like the 5 o'clock shadow or whatever. And you can do the same with your brows as well. Any sort of like spots where you do see hair, you can just cover it with an orange and then put some foundation over that.
Oh, cool. Because it kind of like counteracts the dark, hey?
It does, yeah.
Why does it bring you joy? Why does like...
I think, yeah, no, that's such a great question. I think going back to, so I've always admired just the way that makeup can change you, like change how you look, but also it can really do a lot to change like how you feel on the inside as well. I necessarily, what I like most about makeup and stuff is that it really does allow you to sort of transform yourself in many different ways. Whether that, you know, you're trying to create like a nice like ooky, spooky look, or like if you're wanting to do something that is more, you know, high glam and stuff, or if you're just wanting to like have fun with it and do like clown and stuff like that. I find that like what makeup does is it really allows us to really transform our bodies and transform our looks, and that can really, I think, like help us create any kind of like character and stuff, which like helps me when I'm on stage not doing drag and stuff. As I said, like, you know, when I was doing the apothecary role, I was very much like, well, if I'm going to do this apothecary role, I need to ensure that the apothecary is, you know, as young as he can look and stuff, and so it helps me, I think, to better conceptualize the creative world around me. And then this is just the first step, right? Gluing down the brows for me is just the first step, but that really helps you to, I think, really have a fresh start, you know, in many ways. And I love a fresh start. I love being able to, you know, start from the bottom and really, you know, just like use this blank canvas to really create something extra special.
And thank you for taking, like, honestly, thank you for taking the time to chat with me and
of course
the foundations, because I think it's always fun to like learn that how things are done from the beginning, and then the amount of work that this is just like this small little bit, but it goes so much farther than that. So I think that's,
like, it took us like so much time, right? And then you, like, so like the next time you go to a drag show, you're gonna see a queen up there and she's gonna look, or they are gonna look just amazing, you know, whether it's a king or queen or like a monarch. You're gonna see them and the look that they put together for the audience, and you're going to, like, I think, like, have like a new like understanding of like the amount of work that went into that, because I think a lot of the times, you know, those who go to a drag show and they won't really take into full account all of the work that goes into it. I usually spend like a minimum of 3 hours, you know, in hair, makeup, before I even, like, you know, get to an outfit and stuff. And so I'm like, I do all of this work for, you know, a 5-minute number. So you best believe if you tell me I have 5 minutes, I'm gonna, you know, do 3 songs and take 10 minutes, because I put a lot of work into it and I deserve it.
Well, thank you so much, my sweet. And yeah, you're great.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll see ya. Take care. Wash your hands. Make sure you're doing your part to, you know, flatten the curve.
For this sweet dance.
Yes, you and Bree were doing this.